Alright, welcome to Beyond Quick Tips powered by Astro Gaming. My name is Jared Dunphy, and today I'm going to be going over another requested topic, which is strongholds on the map Empire. This one's pretty straightforward, so don't expect this video to be too long. So I'm actually going to go over the breakout, where you should go, where you spawn off the initial break, which is very, very important, and then go over how to capture the bases and even counter when your enemy is trying to capture your base. So typically you'll see a lot of people hold down pit and then one base. And there's a huge emphasis on the pit because it's very, very important and it's very easy to hold down once you take it. So with that in mind, let's go over into the breakout and I'll explain the different scenarios and where you should go depending on where you spawn. So basically how it works is you'll have 2 players spawn on the right side and then 2 players will spawn on the left side. So, for example, if you're on the left side, you kind of want to favor this left side of the map so you can quickly get to the objective faster or the weapons. So, for example, if you spawn on the far left, go for that storm rifle. You're very close to it and you can make it play faster than the rest of your team because if you're going on the right side of the map, you're running faster, you're not going to be in combat sooner, which is not good. So I've seen a lot of players do this, and I actually did this on a Beyond Rewind. I'll grab the storm rifle and I'll actually head back over to pit and I'll nade off of that wall right there. And what will happen is usually you'll see a player run in here and see how that grenade blew up right in the middle. You'll see a lot of players run down low to get pressure on the pit or in the window because there's going to be players capturing the blue base. So they'll be running in here and they'll run into this grenade. So they're either going to have to back up or commit to this scatter shot and get taken down. So basically, if you're going for that storm rifle, try to go for that grenade and apply some pressure on the pit or in the tower. The other player, you can go up here, and this is the other left side player. You want to go up here, grab the BR, and put some pressure on the pit. You can sometimes see into the red base if that person's hanging out in the corner. Because if that person's on the corner, they can look into the pit. So you'll see a lot of players do that as well. As for the 2 guys that spawn on the right side, there's basically 3 different options, but I typically only see 2. So the thing that I do most often, I will sprint like this, and I'll get the splinter grenade right here. So I'll grab the splinter grenade. So I'll sprint, grab that, and I'll jump right onto here. This little platform is pretty narrow, but on the sides it's pretty wide. So what you can do is, once again, off the spawn, run over here, grab that splinter grenade, jump off of this. You can thrust and clamber up, and you can immediately get pressure on any potential breakout. If they're at storm rifle, chuck a nade over there. If you want to get pressure on that first cap, you can do that. A lot of times you'll see, well, I'll go over this in just a moment, but yeah, so like I was saying, you can get pressure on the tower, you can get pressure on anything. This is a very, very dynamic location. And then going into the last thing, if somebody else snags this splinter grenade, they'll either jump down here or run to tower, but very often you'll see players chuck their splinter grenade like this, like right in front of the overshield on the ramp or directly on the overshield, which leads back to that other breakout that I was talking about where you see a player go up here. And if there's a splinter grenade on this ramp and the other team has to back up, this is perfect for this guy. He can get pressure over here on the corner. He can really get those easy kills, which can lead to you getting overshield and getting the pit. So that's the general breakout. Like I said, if you're on the left side, go to the left side of the map. If you're on the right side, go on the right side of the map. Or, like I said, you can get the splinter grenade and get some pressure on the pit, jump up there. You'll see a lot of people, and this is the third option. Might as well go over this. You'll see some people either go straight to tower for that scatter shot, or they'll go over here to get the SMG because it shreds people. And they will either grab the DMR and get pressure on the pit, or they'll use the SMG, since it's so good at close quarters, to secure the scatter shot. So the initial breakout is very, very important because that allows you to get early control, which can lead to you just winning a game very quickly. So in the event that, say you have the blue base and the enemy team has pit and red, how do you want to do that? How do you want to counter that and start scoring again? A lot of teams, they just put so much focus on the pit. They just keep charging the pit until it works. There's always something that you can do to go around that. And if you truly want to capture the pit, I'll go over a couple things. The DMR over here is very, very important. It's an amazing weapon. It's basically a better pistol. It has more range, more auto aim, more ammo. It's just a better pistol basically overall. So with this DMR, you have a lot of pressure looking over the overshield, looking over the spawns. You have basically complete control, but you're pretty vulnerable. You're out in the open. If you want to capture the pit, like I was saying before, you'll see a lot of players hang out over here with a storm rifle, and then right before the overshield comes up, if your team doesn't get the overshield and the other team does, you have this plasma pistol and you can easily take them down to one shot and completely nullify that overshield run. And yeah, so with this plasma pistol, you can completely lock down the bottom part of the map and the pit area and capture it. But that's not what I recommend. What I do when I play matchmaking, and this is a very solo queue oriented strategy, but you'll see it a lot in the 4v4, you know, like from the pros and whatnot. They'll usually have a player that will have a huge focus on the tower, like I was saying with the DMR. And the cool thing about this is, you know, say, like I said before, we're holding down blue, the enemy team has pit, and the enemy team has red. So they currently are scoring because they have the 2-to-1 advantage. So instead of going for the pit, we're going to go over here on the tower side, and as you can see right here, we're going to be sneaking over to red. We're going to go into that room, but I'm going to back up a little bit. From here, you have a lot of cover, and since there's so many obstacles in the way, you're breaking a lot of sight lines, so it's very easy to sneak by unless there's somebody like hanging out up here on this upper part with the SMG. But overall, you want to sneak in through here, get an idea of where the enemy team is at, and then start sneak capping the other base from behind. So if that's the blue base, just do the same thing. Sneak through tower, try to get behind them, and steal that base. What's going to end up happening is you're like a one-man army. When you're taking this, the enemy team, they have to fall back to kill you to secure this base. So while the enemy team is doing that, you need to make sure you're telling your teammates with your microphone that, you know, you're behind enemy lines, you're taking the red base or blue base, and then just tell your team, put pressure on pit, because now if the enemy team is falling back, your team is going to have a huge advantage fighting in the pit. So for example, you know, say I'm taking red base by myself and they send 3 back. Well, now we have a 3-to-1 advantage in the pit, so we can easily take that unless they get a quick slay going or they have the overshield or a power weapon. But basically the whole idea is if you just keep rushing pit and die over and over again, you're going to be losing a ton of points. I believe with the strongholds, you score every 3 seconds or like 2.5 seconds or something like that, and a respawn time is about 8 seconds long. So if you just keep rushing the pit and dying over and over again, you're just giving the enemy team free points. So why not put the time and effort to do something that's more consistent and will give you better results? Even if you're taken down, like say you're taking the red base from behind and the enemy team does fall back and kill you and they reset the stronghold, you still have a tremendous amount of pressure on the pit, which will give you better map control, better weapon control, and potentially even take back the pit and have that 2-to-1 advantage. So overall, like I was saying before, holding down pit and a base is very, very important, but you want to make sure you're always trying to get behind enemy lines to completely screw up their setup and screw up with their planning. But keep in mind, they'll be doing the same thing. And so, you know, say the enemy team has pit and red, and we start taking red, a lot of times these enemy players, they'll rush over to blue just to completely swap those spawns. But if they're doing that, then the pit is now open. So even though this map is pretty straightforward, it's a map that requires a lot of map awareness and player awareness. You have to keep in mind what the enemy team is doing and why they're doing it. So I really hope this helped you guys out with the general strategy for Strongholds on Empire. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, be sure to let me know in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching.